Bollywood was always the dream. I used to watch, obviously, like Madhuri Dixit films and Shah Rukh Khan films. And I've done Jawan, and a female voice was voicing for Shah Rukh Khan. I still wear a Shah Rukh Khan t-shirt in the house. Shah Rukh is... Rangila was one of my favorite soundtracks. Bombay was a very important soundtrack to me, important film. After Jeho, like after Slumdog Millionaire, when we actually would hear that on the radio, that was like a huge moment. I would sing like the demos for a Britney Spears song, demos for a Christina Aguilera song, for a Shakira song, and people would call me because I could make myself sound like anyone. I watched Ricky Martin perform at the Grammys, and then everything changed after that. Best thing to check your kundli, be friends with ChatGPT. ChatGPT is really about, do you know how to ask it questions? I have an affinity to Robin. I just feel like to be a villain, it's all a perspective. And, whatever you're afraid of, do that.
Hello, Kumari. And we just got to know that your nickname is Kumari. And I want to ask you first कि क्यों आपको ऐसा लगता है कि लोग आपसे डरते हैं? Like, we've been chit-chatting from quite a long time. Why do people think like that?
I mean, maybe because I bring that Kali energy. Kyunki Kali jaise. Is that how you say it in Hindi? Yeah. No, I'm just, I don't want people to be afraid of me, but I think maybe being a powerful woman that knows what they want is a little bit jarring to some folk, but the doors are open, guys. You can talk to me. I'm not scary.
Is it like Rajakumari 2.0 जो कि mantras के साथ में rap भी करेंगी? Like, we want to know about your spiritual side because I saw in one of the interviews जहाँ पे आपने mention किया हुआ है that you took a break for like a year and now you're back with a new song. But then what's up with the spirituality?
I think it's always been a part of it. Like, even Rajakumari doesn't mean daughter of some earthly king. It's daughter of king of kings. I'm trying to speak Hindi. I'm like, Bhagwan. I'm like, Hindi's coming out. I think I always kind of like sprinkled the spirituality. Like, I would have one song on each album, or there'd be like a section of my show where I'd say, hey guys, do you want to slow down a little bit? Can I talk to you? So I think this album was, instead of it being like hidden, it was in the forefront. Everything else is hidden. Like the hip hop beats are hidden and the 808s are hidden versus, the other way around. I used to do like all my old music, whenever you would hear like anything like an O, it was actually an Om. So I have been charging the music from the beginning. Wow. And I think that's maybe why it's worked and why it's cut through.
Were you born with a mic, or you had a lot of CDs under your pillow?
Oh, mash. No, I was born a dancer, I would say. I started classical dance at the age of like 3 or 4. Wow. And I did my first Arangetram at 7. So I think my earliest memories are like with the Carnatic orchestra. So like a mridangam, a veena, violin, Nattavangam, and Carnatic singer, flute. Flute's my favorite instrument. And I feel like I told you earlier I'm tota. Like I just like mimic things. I think the first time I realized I even had a sense of melody or music is I started singing all the violin lines or the flute lines that were in the show, and the musicians were like, wow, you did that well. So it took me like other people telling me that, hey, you're doing that well, for me to realize I actually could sing.
So ये गलत नहीं होगा बोलना that India calling हमेशा से थी. You were like very much inspired from the Indian culture more than the Western music. Is it like that?
I think Indian music and Indian culture is so early in my life that I don't know like anything outside of it. It was the foundation. So like the jatis, the tals, like even the stories. I always say that Superman and Batman were like lame compared to Hanuman and Arjun. Like there's nothing cooler to me. That's why I end up learning archery later in my life and like, wanted to be a part of that. But I think growing up in America and experiencing American pop culture as a child gave me like a perspective, like a prism through which Indian music can come through. So I feel like there's this different sound that I create from the diaspora that's like an American take on Indian music, but it's authentic from both sides. I don't know. I can't like, even in my puja album, that's the hardest Mrityunjay mantra you've ever heard. It's like the most gangster Mrityunjay mantra. So even in that, I didn't compromise. I tried to make it my own sound.
What was the most challenging part? I'm sure कि आपने ये question को बहुत answer किया, but then over the period of time, challenging part, because over the period of time you've seen so much, you've been through so much, and especially एक औरत होने के नाते, as a rapper, like you're trying to perform, you're trying to create your space.
Yes.
What is the most challenging part for Rajakumari?
Oh, see, first I was just going to tell you the Sanskrit, and then I realized it was the deeper question. It was easy to create Rajakumari because she was based off of Devi and Saraswati and, Draupadi and Sita and all these characters that I had played as a child. So I knew I needed this like protector spirit that was, on a chariot and ready to fight on Kurukshetra, because that's how it felt growing up in America, that people wanted me to choose things that didn't have depth. Like, I could never buy into the history because I'm like, we literally, like, that's nothing. It's a blip in time. 200 years is nothing. So I think the hardest thing, would be letting go of that desire to be accepted. Like, I think the first 5-6 years of my career was about duality of identity. NRI. Sorry that my sorry ain't Indian enough when America don't love me because I'm Indian AF. And that was like me just kind of saying out loud how difficult it is to, function in both spaces. Because in India, if I would accomplish something that was like great, sometimes I wouldn't get credit because it was very easy to say, oh, she's American. That's why that happened. And then someone will come behind me and do something similar. And then they're like, wow. So there was that issue. And then on the American side, the things I was doing in India that were like incredible, they just didn't have the perspective to even consider that that was so remarkable for that to happen. So I just felt like I was constantly wanting validation from both sides. And then, it just evolved. And that year off really helped me understand that even when I stopped, I couldn't be replaced. So all I can do is be myself, So that was a big change.
Talking about Indian reality shows, Hustle.
Yes.
Tell us about that. And plus, एक rapper होकर के आप एक rap referee. That's the term I want to use. Like, you were constantly judging these young minds who want to create something. So I want to know about that. How was it? And if everything falls into place, will you go back?
Oh, I'd love to go back to MTV Hustle. I feel like we started something. And it was a phenomenon, For me personally, I'll never forget seeing my face on that billboard on C-Link. And it was enormous. Like, I could see it from across the city. I was like, is that me? So that was just like a huge, like, confirmation that me spending that much time in India, like, focusing on this country and growing hip hop was, the right thing. And, we didn't know what would happen, and even the show was evolving, season 1, and I really took it seriously that hip hop itself was blossoming in the country. And I always knew that when I first came in 2016 and I looked around, I was like, well, something's gonna happen here, it's like it's about to light on fire, but I need females to like have that position. And there are incredible musicians, female musicians in India, but whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, they were letting me through because I came from America with the Grammy nomination, with the major label deal, with all those collaborations. So they were just letting me kind of start at the position that I wanted to be at. And a lot of women weren't given that right in the culture. So I felt like, okay, I have this opportunity to represent and I need to do that. Otherwise, hip hop will blow up in India and it'll take so long for the women to like get a chance. So I was signed to a major label in the US and I like I moved to India, and I thought it was important for our global culture. And I could see the effects. I can see the results and the rewards of me making those sacrifices because there's so many female artists that are getting a chance today, that are like willing to try, and they don't even have to be rappers. And, you know, I've met a lot of people that make completely different music than me, but were inspired by my journey, and we never know who we're affecting. So, you know.
Is it like that कि जैसे rappers community की अगर हम लोग बात करें तो like as an audience I can see that, you know, male rappers they have a particular clan, like they try to get their people, whether they pick them up from the reality shows or from the underground events which keep on happening in Mumbai or many parts of India. Do you think that there's a complete demarcation in terms of not including female rappers, or we don't have enough female rappers?
No, I think we're in a beautiful time period.
Yeah.
If you asked me this 5 years ago, I would have been like, there's not enough opportunity. And I would have been like screaming at the top of my lungs. But I keep seeing new artists pop up every day. And I'm seeing, you know, I meet like younger artists that are like maybe like early 20s, 19 years old. And I have to keep reminding myself that it's been 10 years as a recording artist. So like if they're 19, they were 9 when you came out. So it's like, it's exciting, you know, and I can see that they don't have that same chip on their shoulder. They're not like, oh, no one's letting us through. It's a fresh opportunity for them. They've seen other people succeed. So they're going in there with this like audacity to believe in themselves. And that's all I've ever wanted for everyone, you know, to just do it. Like just take the space, just try different things, experiment, fail and come back. Like it's all part of it. So, you know, I think it's a really, really wonderful time. Like every single TV show has at least a female artist, and like the community is there enough that if you make good music, if you're a great musician, then, you know, you'll get opportunities. Like there was a really great girl on Hustle last season called Fo. She's got such a good vibe, and I can hear her influences. I can hear that like Rihanna influenced her and these people influenced her, and that's exactly how I made music. You know, I was influenced by so many different things, and what came out of me was that. So I'm just excited to see what comes out of everyone now, because there's so many things to be influenced by.
Wow. Yeah. Rappers, अगर especially हम male rappers की बात करें, so whenever we hear them rap, they always talk about their struggles, how they've reached particular stage and what all work they've done and all. And if we talk about female rappers, I mean, unfortunately, because we live in a patriarchy, we are automatically compared, like how you look, how you dress up, and mostly it's a, I wouldn't say it's a preconceived notion that, you know, you are more sensitized or sensuality side में ज़्यादा वो चीज़ आती है. Is it like that? Do you think?
I think that women should express themselves however they want, especially now. I mean, we're like in a really progressive time period in our country as well, where like women, I know like in the interiors, it may not be as safe to do that, but in the cities, like people are expressing themselves. Everyone is, you know, is out there with who they are. I think there's a delicate balance. You know, we come from a culture that, you know, on one hand we'll say like has to be like very conservative, but then you go to Khajuraho and you see like everything. So it's really about like how you want to express that part of culture. For me, it's always been, see, I don't want to say because my mom will remind you that if you Google me, you will find many images of me in a swimsuit, which is like the bane of her existence. But I tell her like, I have to go to the beach, right? Like I'm a human being. So I think like, when I go on stages, like if I'm performing at like a UNESCO site, like I was in Nepal, I made sure that it was up to here. Like, and you know, when I go to Dubai, I like cover myself because I think it's respectful to the culture that I'm like coming to perform in. So I feel like some people will need to express themselves in that way. And who am I to say what that is?
Absolutely.
And I want people to be able to be safe and free to do whatever they desire.
Like we have this common thing, especially when the, like, you know, women like you are absolutely beautiful looking, and then you have talent also. But then कभी आपने सुना है कुमारी के किसी ने आपको आकर के बोला that oh she got it because, you know, she's pretty. I mean, like talent can be aside, but then she's pretty. She has very good stage presence, so she's not worked for it.
You're so sweet. I don't think I've ever heard that.
Oh my God, are people blind?
I don't think they're too scared to tell me that. I don't know. I just keep I don't even. I mean, I hear it sometimes. I mean, I do have the DMs that come.
How much people are scared of you?
I don't know. That's why I'm really trying to work on it. I'm like, hey guys, it's a character, by the way. No, I think I would hear more that the thing that I hear is like, oh, she got that because she collaborated with this guy.
Oh.
she collaborated with this guy. We only know her because of Sidhu. We only know her because of this and this. And like, okay, but didn't I write the song? Like, don't you sing to it? So I think like it hasn't been. I don't know if the women on our side are experiencing that as fast. I think it's more like, what are they even doing there? They must be dating someone. It's usually that.
Or sleeping with someone.
Yeah. I just try to give people their grace. We're all human.
Kumari just remembered a mean comment in her head. And
there's so many. I delete them daily. It's my page, so I decide what sits on my page. So if anyone's like really vicious, I just delete it. Because my mom reads my comments, and when people are gross, I'm like, listen, the last thing you want is Mama Kumari to read this, because she's going to come straight to me and be like, turtlenecks only. So, no.
Talking about collaborations, Divine ke saath mein collaborate kiya tha. I want to know how it happened. And like,
I used to
chocolate and chili.
I used to keep my eye on like the scene, like as a diaspora artist, I would be like really interested in what was going on. And I had this notion and this knowledge that hip hop was, having this very like authentic kind of expression. And I had just got signed to Epic, and I was, like the only Indian as far as the eye could see. And I was signed to Sony Epic, and it was like a huge label. And I had made my album, The Come Up. And they were like, we thought you were going to sound like an Indian Meghan Trainor. And like, we wanted you, because I used to write songs for everybody. So I'm a tota, I'm a chameleon. So there was like all these different versions of me that could be backed. But like I had this idea. And I remember at that time, I feel like I had seen Ye Mera Bombay. And I think Meri Gali Mein had just come out. And like, I think we just knew each other on Twitter. And I had just like hit him up. And then he hit me and said, there's this song, City Slums. And so he sent the song over. We collaborated, on the internet. And then I came, and we were just talking about this when I walked in. The song is almost 10 years old this year. Yeah. We ended up recording it, I think, next year will be 10 years. We recorded it in 2016, and it didn't come out till 17 because of politics. But yeah, the song, I think, was the first of its kind, because there wasn't a lot of like collaboration between like an American recording artist and Indian rap artist. Now there's like a lot of those collaborations, and also like a female and like a male rapper. That hadn't really happened a lot. And I think there was like a very mainstream kind of touch. And I remember at that time VH1 was not playing Hindi, they were only playing English, which was like a weird thing that I had benefit from. So like they were running my videos all day long, and I just remember going in for an interview during that time and them telling me like, this is the first song with Hindi that we're going to put on the channel. So I think it just like is like a really important time in Indian hip hop. And it's nostalgic, and yeah, it's like a great record. I hear it everywhere I go, and I make jokes that on my tombstone it'll be like, she went harder than everybody. Like that's the end of the, like I guess, I mean, but you have to be like really grateful when you have a song that's like sticks in people's minds. So yeah, and that's why whenever I release a song, I'm like, am I ready to sing this every day for the rest of my life? And then I put the song out.
Breaking into desi rap scenes with heavy American accent. How was it? Like, because I'm talking from the point of view of people who are going to be watching you on internet, when we have a couple of questions which we've actually taken from the internet. And of course, Rukh, our producer, has researched. So was it hard for you? I mean, like, was there a thing in your mind कि ये give validation में मुझे problem हो सकता है? Like, what if they don't like it? What if they think that I'm pretentious?
Oh, I didn't even think of it like that. I think I was on such a journey to like find myself, and I always dreamed about living in India. Because I wouldn't fit in some ways, and I just had this like idea that like India would understand me. I think the hardest thing, I mean, it's true. I really, really was like, nothing made sense sometimes in America. Like I would just be like, this land is, I mean, like there is ancient places and I like to visit those, and like, I think it's a lot of nature and stuff, but something different when you can walk barefoot in a temple that's been open for 1,000 years every day. Like there's a difference there, but I think the biggest learning curve was the Hindi, how intense it was. Like Abhi, you're speaking to me in Hindi and it's fine. It translates just directly into English in my mind. But in the beginning, my God, I was like immersed, and I just kept doing it to myself. Like I remember when they did MTV Hustle, they were like, you're going to learn Hindi. I'm like, yeah, I'll learn Hindi. Then on the day one, they're like, how's your Hindi? I'm like, it's crap. And they were like, oh no. But And I remember season 1 was like really difficult for me because it was like 16 hours for the filming and it's like constantly translating. Your brain will get tired. And I remember I would get the lyrics of every artist before, like while we were getting ready, and I would read all of them. I would ask people questions. I would take notes because I felt like if I'm going to judge them, then I need to know what they're saying. But I would say I came on season 4 and I was sitting at the table and I understood everything. I understood all the jokes because like in the first season, you could see me like look at Raftar and react when he reacts because he's my bro, you know? So that's why even like when I went on the Couples Sharma show, I'm like, please put Raftar next to me because couples Hindi is so crazy. And there was a point when he said something about my sunglasses being like a 3D and I was like, and then I'm like this, and Raftar's like, he says your sunglasses look like 3D, and I'm like, like I don't know, and sometimes I don't know, like the accent's too crazy. So Raftar has been my translator for many years. He's very sweet for that. But yeah, I think the language barrier, and also like it was such a learning curve to understand my privilege. Like I had a perception of what kind of privileges I had, and then I had a really good idea about India. Like I always was like, no, it's so modern and people are like this. But it really took living with people my own age to like understand the perspective, and it's changed me so much. Like even if I talk to my friends in America, we don't have the same ideas about the world, you know, like when you live outside of America, you just see the way the rest of the world lives. And I remember going through the process when I started, you know, slowly moving here. My parents were not very happy about it. Just like having this realization, like, who said America was the end all be all? Like who said like we're all supposed to strive to go live in America? Because I got the feeling, and also I was there during the pandemic, so that could have like given more, but I felt like sometimes it's just like a grid and it's cement and it's glass and people are maybe not as connected as a community. There are community there, you can find them, but I feel like in India we're so connected. Like if you are lucky enough to make money, then it's your like duty to hire people in your house so that you can like support the community. So it's not like, oh, in America, if you can't handle your house yourself, you're lazy and you're unable to do it. But in India, I can get help and it's normal, and people, and I'm like, I love, like, I'm so sweet to the people in my house and I have like a good relationship with them. And it's very fulfilling to me to see like in real time how I can, you know, be a nice part of people's lives. But in America, I feel like sometimes there's a lot of like blame put on women that they're not able to maintain the household, the business, the beauty standards, driving yourself, doing everything yourself. It's just like so much that I would always feel like I wasn't able to do enough, you know? So in India, I feel like I get more time to meditate and I get more time to like dream and you know, work on things. But I do make my music in America. So it's a very interesting kind of balance. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know.
The hardest part जो कि आपने face किया when you moved to India. Hardest. Like you were not able to understand. Was there any point of time where you actually wanted to run away? You were like, you know, I like staying over here, but then
yeah,
हो गया मैं.
Yeah, I mean, we all have heartbreaks, don't we? So we all want to run when that happens. But I think I think being away from my family, like I didn't realize it till like now when it's like 10 years in that like all my cousins' kids are grown up. Like even my nephews are grown up, and that there was a sacrifice. I did choose my music and I did choose to focus on, you know, music education infrastructure, pushing forward the, you know, female image in Indian hip hop or whatever that means, whatever I'm remembered for. And there was a choice. Like, you know, you look back and my cousins are all on their third kid and like there's a whole scene happening there. And
basically your entire family's.
Oh, my whole family's in America. So I think just being away for a lot of family things and then them getting used to me being away, that was weird. It was like, oh, they're just used to me not being there anymore. And just like sharing my YouTube videos. So it's hard because like you want to be known for who you really are and that's your family. But I chose to be 8,000 miles from my family. So it's been the identity thing has been a little difficult. But now it's, you know, meditation and centering yourself.
Become zen.
You have to be zen. At some point you have to give up all the battles, right? You have to realize that some battles are not meant to be fought. And people are, you know, they're a result of their own trauma. It's not your fault. And like the more you engage with it or try to make people react a certain way so you can get something, it's like you have to let go of everything.
Why this interview sounding like I'm sitting right in front of my therapist?
Oh yeah, everything turns into therapy now. I feel like everyone doesn't want. They're like worried to talk to me because I'm gonna be like, let's talk about this theory. I told you I want to see your chart.
We'll talk about that. Talking about another difficult part, जो कि आपने reality show में किया, which was being a judge. सबसे ज़्यादा difficult क्या था कुमारी के लिए? Like, how do you tell someone that they're not good without hurting them?
Yeah, that part. I think being honest with people is important. And the problem for me is I'm just impressed by everybody. I'm just happy they're doing it. I'm like, wow, because also on Hustle, they had to do a new song every week. Fully written, perform it, new concept. And I was like, dang, that's like intense. Like I was writing a song, 2 songs a day, a song a week for sure during my songwriting phase, my hustle phase. But being in front of the whole world, being judged when you're just starting and having to keep delivering songs, that was like a lot, So I guess I kept having like a lot of compassion for them. Because a lot of times they'd be like, you didn't ride the beat well. And I'm like, well, maybe the beat wasn't that good. Like maybe give them a better beat, maybe they would do it. And I didn't want to like favor the women on the show because I feel like people will be like, oh, female card. But I'm the one that's experiencing what it is out there. There's an extra pressure on us. So can I give them a little extra protection? So I tried not to lead with that. And I feel like it got to a point in the competition where you're like, I can't keep holding them, like there. But if you see Agsy today, you see her, like, I just saw her post a picture. She was like on a motorcycle. And I was like, yeah, that's right.
My girl.
That's right. Self-realized. And I love like the artists, the females that are out there, just kind of, they're all doing their own thing. There's this girl that I like love. Her name is Meow, Himtown Baddie. She's from Chandigarh. I've been like repping her for a minute. I saw her in a Chandigarh freestyle video and I just love her. I just love seeing all these different types of artists coming out and just being themselves and being like provocative and talking shit and flipping the camera off. And it used to just be me. So I'm just happy. I'm happy to see it.
If given a chance, अगर collaboration करना है किसी के साथ में, and it can be anybody, like anybody, living or dead.
I'm like the master collaborator. Like if you look through my collabs, they're already ridiculous. Like you can list from like Sidhu Moosewal to Kailash Kher. Like it's ridiculous already. Living or dead. Wow. Cleopatra. I'm just kidding. Adi Shankaracharya, which I just did. Ravan, which I just did also. He's also my collab. Because Shiva Tandav is written by Ravan, Lingashtakam, Adi Shankaracharya. So I added them to my list of collaborations as well.
How do you go about it, Kumari? Like before the interview even started, we spoke about that. You can rap, sing in any language.
They're sounds.
कहाँ है confidence? कहाँ से आ रहा है?
Nay, they're sounds. They're just sounds, right? Like I think Sanskrit. The reason I like working in Sanskrit is they said like the sounds came from the damaru. Like it comes and like my voice already is kind of a drum because my first language was rhythm. I still talk like that. If you notice when I'm speaking, I still hit the drum, like even the tones. So I don't know. I just I listen and I have the audacity to believe in myself. Maybe it won't sound good, but I've heard things that don't sound good and people are confident and they go sing them. And you've heard like American people and Russian people making their versions of the mantras. Why would I now get so worried about somebody's opinion? There's so many people that are free. So why shouldn't I be free too? So definitely languages this year. And from now on, I want to be more experimental. I want to try to work in Bhojpuri, in Haryanvi, in Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Spanish, Japanese, everything.
You do realize that after hardcore, if you've heard of her,
of course,
you've actually changed the scene of rap in Bollywood as well. How was it to give Shah Rukh Khan his swag boost for Jawan?
Well, you mentioned hardcore, which I feel like is important.
Yeah.
Like, as I've now got into 10 years, it's like maybe when we're young guns and we come in, we're like, we're different. But then as you stay in the industry more, you realize how alike we all are, like how much we had to go through the same things. And I feel like without MIA, without hardcore, then I may not have been understood the same way. And like, because I've done what I've done and I've done Javan and a female voice was voicing for Shah Rukh Khan. Now there's a precedent for a younger artist to be like, well, what do you mean? She did it, so why can't I? So I think it's like a long line of us just kind of backing each other up. But Bollywood was always the dream. I used to watch, obviously, like Madhuri Dixit films and Shah Rukh Khan films. And that was our connection to the culture. Like we saw our moms and we saw like our cousins, but we were all trying to like live in this Western space where we could only express so much of it. But there was an Indian woman who was like all about her vibes. And like, it was the way to behave, like I saw like how to act like a sweet Indian woman. Like, you learn like that. So I used to always think that the music was so good. Like I remember Rangila was one of my favorite soundtracks. Bombay was a very important soundtrack to me, important film. Which is funny because I'm like, my parents would let me watch it like every day. And then I end up moving to Mumbai. So I'm like, how come I never connected how like crazy that film is? And I'm like, I want to live there. But I always thought after Jeho, like after Slumdog Millionaire, when we actually would hear that on the radio, that was like a huge moment to like encourage me. But I thought, what if I take all the things I learned from songwriting? Like I spent the 7-8 years songwriting in my early 20s, and I learned from Danish writers and Swedish writers and, Dr. Dre and Scott Storch and J.R. Rodham and like the craziest of crazy people. What if I took that knowledge and applied it to Bollywood? Like, can I help songs cross over? Like, will it just be the diaspora or can I make it cross over like Spanish music crossed over? Because I was a kid when the Latin music explosion happened. I watched Ricky Martin perform at the Grammys and then everything changed after that, So I've seen it happen, so I know it's possible. So that was always the goal because I was always telling people like, Bollywood films have the biggest opening worldwide. Like, do you know if a Shah Rukh Khan film comes out, how many screens it opens on? And I would tell that story as a kid, and then I got to experience it.
Did you meet him?
Of course. Of course. I'm a magic manifester, okay? I could not live this life without... But by the way, even after I've met him, I still wear a Shah Rukh Khan t-shirt in the house. Like, there's these pictures from Nepal. I went on a tourism trip. For some reason, like, 2 or 3 of the days, I'm in the Shah Rukh Khan t-shirt. I swear I had other clothes, but it's like... I'm like, oh, here's a picture of me at a temple meditating in a Shah Rukh Khan t-shirt. Like, I guess that's what we're going to share. But, no, Shah Rukh is... Shah Rukh Khan is just amazing. I mean, like, even watching what happened when... He probably didn't even feel that snubbed at the Met, but we were snubbed. Yeah. How dare you treat Shah Rukh Khan like that, So he's just amazing. I feel like even, I remember some moments like before Javan came out, the release event, he had like a huddle with all the girls and, he had this girl gang and he was so supportive to them. And I was just kind of standing to the side because I was like, and he was like, no, come inside the circle. And it's like, he's so aware of people. And I think the thing I learned from him is he knows that it's your moment when you meet him. Like he knows you may not meet him again and this is important to you. So I feel like he very much like wears that and like is so present. Like when you meet him, he will look you directly in the eye. He will speak to you completely like present. Like you are important. It's not like, it's nothing like that. It's like, and he knows that like, when he came down to drop me, like I went to the house after the Javan release and I was like, I'm leaving. He's like, I'll drop you. He shook my driver's hand. That's probably the greatest moment my driver ever experienced, right? But he knows that. So I always, wherever I am, whenever I have a show, whenever somebody sees me, or if I'm like having a bad day, I'm crying in the airport and someone asks me for a selfie, I just try to think about Shah Rukh and I think about how present he is and how he always has to like be that person for whoever it is. So I learned that from him. I'm so present. Like I'll be like an hour and a half after my show shaking hands, like looking people directly. Yes, it is amazing what you're doing. Please keep going. Like I will not break eye contact because it's important in that moment. And they may never meet me again. And maybe that moment might inspire them, the way Shah Rukh inspired me. I don't know, but who's to say? So that's what he taught me. Presence. Being present is the most important thing.
Let's talk about HanumanKind. He's making waves and he
yes.
performed in India for the
Suraj.
first time.
Very good.
Bhai, kya aadmi hai?
I've been a fan of him for a long time. Like, we actually worked on a record a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It didn't come out yet, but I always saw like his crowd control. Like when he would do a show, the way he would make the crowd behave. Like he would have like mosh pits and he would just be so crazy. He would like take off his shirt and scream. And for me, it's kind of like a validation because we have very similar teams, like my old team and his team, like everybody that's involved, like he was involved in my career at some point before I went independent. Then I was screaming from my soapbox that a song that was an English song could come out of India. See, I've primarily made English music and there's only like one radio station that's in English. So maybe VH1 gave me a benefit, but the rest of the radio stations didn't. And like, it was very difficult to like reach mainstream as a musician just because of like hustle and different like movie things. People will know me or maybe my fashion or something. But English music, being authentic to that and it like breaking, I believed in it, and sometimes it takes a man to go and prove it first. But, just like women point to me and say, I did, I point to him. I go, look, South Indian, just like me, with English, hard hitting, incredible visual, because even in our industry, there was this big push for like music videos don't have a return and like just make reels. But it's visual art. Like we're artists and that is, I feel like it's not done until I make the video. Like, honestly, like I don't care that there's no return and I don't care that people only are going to watch 20 seconds of it. It's important to complete your thought, to like put it out there. So you could see in that video that he was putting it all on the line. I mean, Mans was really in the car. He was like drinking the beer when the car, like that's who he is. And I think he was so authentic in that. And that's why it resonated. And, I love the work he's doing, and I'm like to imagine that his first show in America was Coachella. Like I'm just happy that people are having their dreams come true because I have some dreams as well that have not happened yet. So, I mean, I got to perform at Coachella with Ali Sethi, which was a really crazy experience, but it wasn't my song, right? I was singing someone else's song. Like to hear your own songs, the ones that you wrote about your struggle and your experiences, to be able to do that set, that's something that I still have on my wish list.
Tell us about your break. What happened? एक साल break लिया. Rajakumari was out of the scene. You were out of the scene in your head.
In my head, I still did work. Though,
like I mean, like when she told me, like even like because we are very used to listening to music, and I do listen to your music a lot, and then I was like, अच्छा break लिया था. So like, what was it about?
Stepped off the album cycle. Yeah. So. When we release an album, we have to complete it 6 months prior, turn it in 2 months before, start playlisting, make all the content, make the marketing plan. And it's just like, you don't get to enjoy like the release, you're like, when one release is out, I'm already working on one that's 3 months away. So that constant cycle of album after album and like things coming at me so fast, I just felt like I was in a boat with holes in it. And every time I would plug a hole, another hole would come out. So how do I get across the ocean if the boat has holes in it? And I think education is really important, especially like business education. Had I known that I'd be running a business, I would have went to business school. I did not know being a musician meant that I had to run a business that was overseeing so many departments. Like I took the year to learn taxes, to understand why is my cash flow always so crazy? What is this GST and why do they want me to pay it first, then show them a receipt, then collect it and sometimes forget to collect it? Like all these things, nobody was watching that for me. And, just understanding, I put a song out and maybe it hits 1 million. I didn't understand what was going on behind that. Once I went independent and I dumped all the money I've ever earned into the Bridge album. And I remember going and getting Musician of the Year at Grazia, which was a huge respect. I was like, wow, I finally feel like accepted by like the editorial space, which is like, something important to me. I asked the people, have you heard my new album? They're like, no. I'm like, how are you giving me Musician of the Year? And you guys haven't even heard this album that I have like, is literally my baby. It's my own money. I've dumped all my money. I made the big budget videos. And out of the 2 videos I made on my own dollar, like my own money, without the label, those are the only 2 videos that haven't hit 1 million. So I'd like everyone to please go watch Juice and No Nazar, because I spent like a major label on that, but I didn't keep any money for marketing and I didn't know how it works. And I just was I'm just an artist. I just make music. I don't care. I'm like, I want the Kanjivaram sari. Like, I'm just crazy about what I want, you know? So I had to learn a lot about, you know, longevity and preservation of energy. And I think I basically had to take a year off to figure out why was there such a gap between who I think I am and how people perceive me. You know, I was also going through a lot of health stuff, which I think people don't realize, that stress can really wreak havoc on your body. And especially if you're like, I work in 2 time zones. Okay, I start my day at 6 a.m. talking to America until about 10 a.m. when they go to bed. Then I take a little break, and then I start by like 11 talking to my Indian team until I sleep, and then I do it all over again. So if you wake up trying to put out a fire, you have like cortisol issues. If you don't have vitamin D and you don't worry about your hormones, then you're going to have inflammation. And I know, like, I keep talking about Vidya Balan, but she was like, she saw such a transformation. And I feel like it's never been about like, oh, I need to be this level of skinny to be happy, because that's never been it. I want to be healthy. And I could feel that I was ill, you know? I just felt ill. So I needed to take time off. I had to not be constantly running for something in this like rat race of society. So I went and had a punch karma. I took a year off. I did not work. Okay, this is a funny thing to say. I worked in 23, but I only worked on commissioned things. Like, people paid for it before I wrote it. Like, I was like,
fair enough.
I'll write it.
Yeah.
They paid for it. I'll write it. Otherwise, I watched Devon Ka Dev 20 seasons. Devon Ka Dev Mahadev. So Mohit Raina, if you're out there, I would really like to meet you. And if I meet you, I'm going to touch your feet.
My mother is going to love you. She's one of the biggest fans.
I love him. If I see him in real life, I'm going to be like, Mahadev. It's going to be so serious to me. I'll just have to control. Like, you're a real person. You're not Mahadev. But yeah, I just like, you know, in college I studied religion. So I've always been like a scholar in that way, where I just like to deep dive. So I spent the year studying, and I wish I'd studied Hindi. That would have been more helpful for both you and me.
But it's working quite well, because I'm talking in Hindi और आप अच्छे से समझ रहे हो.
It comes in as English. Sub
ये कैसा कान में filter है जो English?
I don't know. I have like a babble fish in there. It works in Telugu too. If you started speaking full Telugu, it's just translating. I wish my base language was Hindi or Sanskrit. Then I would speak like 15 languages naturally.
But then I think by the end of this year, you will be talking in many languages.
I hope so.
I'm just hoping for you to come back to Mirchi Studios to teach me Hindi. She'll be like, Yashi, ऐसे नहीं, ऐसे word बोलो.
I'll be like, लिख सकती हूँ, पढ़ सकती हूँ. अभ्यास करना चाहिए. अभ्यास करना पड़ेगा. Okay? That's what I'd tell you. I like that word, abhyas.
Abhyas.
Yada hi dharmasya.
My God, we're talking about Mahabharata.
Glanit bhavati. I am the Mahabharata. Like, what do you mean? Like, my whole life, like, I refer to everything. I'm like, that guy's giving Shakuni vibes. Like, everything. Everything's related.
It's said, like, even my mother says this thing that, you know, when you don't have any answers, you should always go to Bhagavad Gita. Do you believe in that?
You know, I'm going deeper in the Bhagavad Gita now. I think I read it the first round in college. I obviously took a class and I like dissected it and all that. I think the more you read scripture, you'll get deeper and deeper understandings. Because like when I was younger, I didn't have such deep betrayal to understand some of the things that they were going through. Or like maybe I didn't know how envy could eat into a relationship, or how people will really, really prey on your downfall and they'll want to see you fail. Yeah. Like, I feel like I was blackballed in like 23 to 24. Like when I took my time off, I just feel like because I am the way I am and because I know a lot about both industries, I don't know if a lot of people were, I don't know if a lot of men were able to work with that. And I don't know how I could go from like doing show with John Legend to like not getting booked for a year and being told you can't sell tickets and you're not going to be able to be booked. It was like a very interesting time because when people keep saying things to you, you start to believe that to be true. So it was very confusing because I would like get a deal, it would fall apart. And then somebody else would get it that was attached to someone who hated me before. So I'm like, this is really happening. But I took that year and I went on like a Jyotirling tour. I went to Bhima Shankar, I went to Kedarnath, I went to, I've been to Rameshwaram, I went to Pashupatinath, and I just kept going where I was called, and I just kept going where they couldn't cancel me. And, when people would say like, oh, you can't sell tickets, and all of us were going through that, like post-pandemic, it was like a crazy time period. I would go to temples, and I would tell God, like, if somebody knows me at this temple, then I'll believe you that I'm supposed to do this, because right now I don't know everything I'm trying to do. It's not working. Everything's getting canceled, and I'm trying my best. Maybe I should give it up, And I was going to Triyogi Narayan temple, where Shiva and Parvati got married, and I had been doing my Sola Somvar, so I was like very focused on this. And I was going there, and I told God, okay, this is very remote. We're on this like little road going to this temple that's been there for yugas. And I said, okay, God, if somebody knows me here, then I'll believe you. I said it out loud to my friend. If somebody knows me here, then I'll believe it. And I'm sitting there doing the puja, and I'm telling all the pujaris, Kalyana Prapti Rastu, Kalyana Prapti Rastu. I'm like, tell me, Kalyana Prapti Rastu, okay? I'm like serious about this. I'm joking around. And I'm sitting there, I'm doing this puja, and then I hear, Rajakumari? And I'm like dressed like a full, like, I'm not dressed cool. I'm wearing like a puffer jacket, and like, I'm like dressed completely ridiculous. Like I'm hiding in plain sight. And I was like, oh my God. And I kept seeing that fan like everywhere, like every temple. We were on the same temple schedule, and it was like a reminder. And God just kept telling me that your fans are not in the club, they're in the mandir. Now it's up to you to figure out how to find them. If you can't sell tickets to a 1 a.m. show, it's because you don't even want to be at a 1 a.m. drunk show next to a bunch of kids that are drunk. You want a seat. So you need to figure out how to take your music out of this like pseudo underground club space, and how do you put it in front of seats like when you were a kid and you performed in Ravindra Bharati or all these places. There were Padma Shri gurus in the front row. Now how do you get back to that? Because God is like, you make art, your art is an offering to Saraswati Devi, so how do you keep allowing it to be in these places that's not sanctified? So that was just like, that was the transition. And then how to get people to understand this change in me. I would keep trying. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll put out an album. I made an album called Sveta, which is my real name. And it's not out yet, but it's like very, very vulnerable. Wow. Like when I put this out, you guys are gonna be like, ooh, that's what she was going through. Very vulnerable. And I'm like, okay, maybe this is how I do it. Maybe I have to cut myself in front of everybody. I gotta bleed it out, and then they'll understand me. And God was like, every time you try to do something, I'll keep telling you, Kashi to Kailash, Kashi to Kailash. So the name of the album came to me almost a year before the album was even made. I didn't even know what
that was your calling, basically.
Just kept coming. I went to Kedarnath after the tour was canceled, after the shows were canceled. Some mismanagement and some, it was written for me to experience this time period, but everything just kept falling apart. So I went to Kedarnath. And I'm standing at the very top, and I'm surrounded by a bunch of crazies. I'm like, we're all crazy. We're standing in like a flood drainage space. Like if you look at the mountains, it looks like this area is for the water to leave, but let's stand right here. Like you just look, you're like, we're all crazy. Okay.
I was a kid when I had gone to Kedarnath.
You need to go. I mean, go if it calls you. I think like people who go just to like make like their reels, beat their ass, but
I think it was calling my mother more than me, because I didn't have a single clue where I was taken.
But if you're not meant to go, you don't make it up there. Like a lot of people will be like halfway there, and there's a cloud storm, and you have to turn around. So if you made it up there, you were called to go.
I think I was in 6th standard when I was.
Yeah, because even like my friends that were supposed to come on the trip, 2 dropped out right before, because they weren't called at that time. So I'm like standing there, I'm looking at it, and there's like a Trishul on the top, and I have like this whole Trishul intense connection. I'm just staring at it, and I'm like, what do you want me to do? My mom wants me to get married. I don't know how to find a husband. Okay, I'm here. I did your Sola Somvar. Give me an answer. I'm like literally staring at this Trishul, and I'm like, what do you want me to do? I've come all the way here, Lord. And he goes, surrender. I was like, shit. Okay.
Hey, can we cut, copy, paste that?
Surrender. I was like, okay. And then I just kept hearing, every time I would try to be like, oh, let's make this song, let's do this single, let's put this money on this, it would be like, you haven't made Kashi to Kailash yet. It's like, make this album, then all this distance between who you think you are and how the world perceives you, that distance will be shortened, because it's obviously not trend to make a Sanskrit album. Like, that's not trend. Like, and I'll watch things that are happening, and I'll see like that gangster space with the grill and the sunglasses and the pigtails and that whole thing I used to like really, was my IP. And I'm like, am I leaving? Like, am I supposed to, like, is there, like, what part of me is that? But like, it's calling me back in different ways. It's like, no, you can do all the things. But until I made Kashi to Kailash, I just didn't want to come back to music because I was like, everybody has opinions. Like, I'll make a song and it's like, this will be a hit. This will not be a hit. This will be a hit for this place. This will not be a hit for this place. And I'm like, you know, what I said earlier. You know, which guy I want to throw. So this is just like, how do you tell me what's going to happen with a song that's been a banger for 8,000 years? Like, how many versions have you heard? How many people know this song? How has this song lasted thousands of years? So it's not going to just fall apart right before me. It's a guaranteed banger. So I think Shiva was like, I just kept hearing this thing, like, because I would say, like, I don't sing Carnatic music. I don't sound like Sid Sriram. You know, I wish I did sometimes because, like, he'll just, like, go between, like, Carnatic runs to jazz runs. And I'm like, my God, the control. But I was given a different gift, you know? Like, I have a different tone. And something about my tone just cuts through no matter what language. You just know it's me. How is that possible? I don't know. You know? And I would just be like, but I don't sing Carnatic. Like, Shiva, people, how are people going to listen to my version? You know how I sing? And he's like, I want you to make your version. I want to hear it. He's like, I want the remix. I was like, okay, I'll make you the remix. So then I called my friend Nacho. He came from Spain. And from starting the album to the release, 28 days, which is insane. There's songs that you have heard. Like I told you, City Slums was recorded in early 2016 and would come out in October 2017. That is like the normal story of a song. To record and release within 28 days was a wild ride. And it's the only project that's been like that, and it's because it was for God. So it just came right out. Now I feel like I'm ready to come back like on a gangster record now and confuse everyone. Maybe I'll come back in Punjabi just because.
You want to be unpredictable.
I just want to do whatever I want to do.
I think you'll do fab again.
I just want to have fun.
Henna?
Yeah, I just want to have fun. I want to collab. Like, I want to work with, like, Honey Singh. And I want to, I want to do fun stuff. There's been so many limitations on me because I want to, like, participate in this, like, underground hip-hop world. But what? Nobody's protecting me. Nobody was keeping my beefs. Nobody was standing next to me. I'm like, they're my friends, but they didn't beef for me. So I'm not going to keep nobody's beefs. I just want to make music.
So is it like that, you know, sometimes you think that you've been stereotyped? Like, they don't know that how much capable you are. Is it like that?
Oh, I think they know. That's why they don't want you to know.
Wow.
They don't want you to know that somebody can do that much. Because as long as I'm American, then they don't have to work harder. You know, as long as I'm other, then there's no reason to compare our stats, like our, you know, the things we've done. But that's okay.
I think because of that also, like, you know, you can sing well in Hindi. Like you said, you're a tota.
Yeah, I'm learning.
So, like they're like quite aware about your gifts.
There was a lot of stuff in the beginning that was like, she shouldn't sing in Hindi. There was a lot of energy to keep me from being in Hindi, which I found so funny. And it would only take like Sidhu, who was like, you should sing in Punjabi. And then Guru actually writing the Punjabi lyrics for me, because Sidhu would have done it, but you know, we weren't able to do our second collab. So like Guru actually writing it. So it's like the people I came up with didn't want me in Hindi.
तो आपकी लाइफ के शकुनी मामा बहुत सारे रहे हैं.
बहुत है. Shakuni, and who else?
Ravan.
Oh, but Ravan, I have an affinity to Ravan because the story of the Shiva Tandav, which is the video I just dropped, when I was watching Devonka Dev, there was that episode was like so good. And because Ravan is in love, you know, he's such a bhakt for Shiva. He wants Kailash to be in Lanka. So he's Shakti-shali, you know. He's like, main Shakti-shali hu, you know. So he goes to pick up, you know, Kailash. And as he's lifting it, you know, Mahadev puts his foot down and it crushes his hands. And it's like the most unimaginable pain. Like he's just like, imagine somebody that powerful is just like squirming in pain. And this is so fascinating to me. In that moment of deepest, darkest struggle, he freestyles Shiva Tandav. It comes out of him. And because Shiv is the way that he is, Shivji is the way that he is, he's impressed by the musical offering that he frees him and he gives him a boon. And I felt like in a lot of ways, I was in a deep, dark space. And that Shiva Tandav has always been a part of my life. I performed it as a child, but I only did like 2 or 3 of the stanzas. To learn all 15, to commit to singing 16. There's actually 17. Most people do 15. I did 16. Like, I just feel like to be a villain, it's all a perspective. Like if you go to the South, they probably don't see him as the same villain.
Yeah.
And that helped me kind of be like, well, whatever people perceive of me, there's different truths. And I mean, I want to be like a songwriter that has songs that last 10,000 years, Even a lot of the older songs that I've brought back, like even in my first album, I did a song called Mira, and that has Mirabai's poetry. And it's like, I resonate with her so much. She was a princess who gave up everything to go sing love songs for Krishna. Like, my mom is like, please don't do that. She's like scared that I'm on the edge of that. She's like, you're going to a lot of temples. So I mean, like between and Adi Shankaracharya, like I did a song called Lingashtakam on the new album, and I worked with a lot of like Swedish writers, Swedish producers, like I went to songwriting camps in Denmark and Sweden. I've learned, from technical pop, and like growing up in the West, I studied iambic pentameter from William Shakespeare, and there's all these like ideas about how songs should be written. And then I put on an Afro pop beat and I just start singing Lingashtakam. And why does it have all of these things in it? It has repetition, it has internal rhyming, it's exactly structured. So who really started the songwriting tools?
Yeah.
And the fact that it could be that relevant, I could just freestyle it and just like move it in the melodies. Like, I think that was like the first try I did the melody, and like, I just changed it a little bit. So that was really fascinating. Like, why are we always looking to the West to be the standard when if you go back thousands of years, it's like, it's so intense what we were able to do. And Sanskrit has its own healing properties. Like the more I go into like studying meditation and sound healing, each chakra has a different note attached to it. So a lot of love songs are written in the key of F, which is the frequency of the heart. And that's interesting. So that's always been fascinating to me. So it's just like, how do I bring all of these things together?
It's going to be very interesting. So we have a couple of interesting questions which are coming straight away from the internet. And I'm just going to read out to you as it is.
I'm ready.
DMC gets trolled nonstop. What do you think? It's her bars they can't handle, or it's just the fact that, she's the woman in the game?
I feel like I'm always giving commentary on DMC, and I know she knows I have her back, because I feel like maybe they may have tried to pit us against each other in the past. But I think consistently, I think we now can see each other and have that respect, because the world has stopped trying to make us fight each other. And even sometimes, like even when I was coming on Hustle, people were like so rude, and we had to get on stage and like literally hold hands and be like, hello, stop being mean to us. We want to be friends. I think it's unfair also, because whatever standard they hold us to, they don't hold the other ones to it. Can I please pull out the lyrics for your favorite male rapper and let's really go bar for bar? Like, they don't really look at our bars. Like, and I always complain about this, like, there'll be people who do reaction videos and they'll just skip over my verse and then go to Krishna. And you're like, what the hell? But I mean, that's, had I not come in 2016, we would be even further back on this, and had DMC had she not done the gully boy thing and been the only female in that film and did her job in that, then would we be here? Like, and if hardcore hadn't done that, it's like, it's all connected.
Absolutely.
It's all connected. You can't have one without the other.
Also, Khushi and Lashkari, right? Lashkari, sorry.
Lashkari.
Lashkari.
He's great.
Khushi's and Lashkari went viral, and her mask identity is causing a lot of I'm like, it's in the wave. She's quite popular.
Yeah, I've seen her. I was like, the girl with the mask. Yeah.
Like, do you think it's a power move, a social statement, or just a unique style?
Well, I mean, we've seen it happen in like pop culture. Like Sia used to never show her face. She always had that wig. I think that it's your choice, especially in this day and age. Like, if you can get away with not showing your whole face, then you get to live both lives. People won't recognize you without the mask.
I think she came in one of the reality shows also, and where she mentioned that, I don't want to be I want people to listen to what I have to.
Dalvinder paints his face. Do you know what he looks like without that skeleton makeup? I mean, he looks great with the skeleton makeup. We're all confused as to why we're like, this skeleton's hot. Like, that's strange. But yeah, it's the same thing, right? For him, it's artistic, but for her, she should have to show us her face because she's a woman. What? Let her do it. Get her a diamond one. I just keep going. Like, what if she gets like flexes on hose and she has like a diamond encrusted?
Wow.
Yeah. I wish best things for her. I want her to get that.
I want to know your teenage playlist, Kumari. Like, I really want to know what kind of music you were listening when you were in your
rap. When I feel like it was two different things. Real old school rap. So like there was that whole period of like Tupac, Biggie, Nas. I listened to One Mic in my bedroom as a kid before I understood anything he was saying. I was just memorizing it. Lauryn Hill, the Fugees. But then there was like the pop, like the reason I wanted to become a musician was I was dancing, I was doing classical performances, Indian, like Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, and I would raise a lot of money for charity. And there was a show that I put like my whole heart and soul into. I called every rich uncle and auntie that I knew. And I was like, you better write that check, for this charity that I was working on. And so I got them all there. One of them even gave a $20,000 check. Like I rinsed that uncle, And at the end of it, it was $80,000, which is a lot of money. But the foundation needed 2.5 million. Okay, for like what they were trying to do. And I thought, okay, well, I've given something, it's getting closer. And then I remember asking, like, how did it, what are we going to do for the next one? They're like, oh, yeah, we already spent that $80,000 on operational costs and 6 people went through the program. And I was like, so we have to start all over? I was like, I already rinsed out every uncle I know. I can't call them again. So I basically understood that my platform was limited. Like I can only affect the 600 people in Southern California and use my mom's Rolodex to call her friends. And then after that, what do we do? But at that time, NSYNC, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, they were like getting really famous. And I was a super fan. So like I would like basically buy anything with NSYNC's face on it, So I would like get the puppets. I would buy like stamps.
Bye.
Oh yeah, I knew the whole choreography.
Sorry, I just couldn't.
You're laughing, but that's really my childhood. I know the whole dirty pop choreography. Like, please, bye. Da-da. Before it came back in that film, I still know
Deadpool,
it.
yeah. Like I used to watch that.
Don't make me do it. It's a real deal. Yeah. And I just thought, what if I was a pop star? And I wanted to talk about the Indic Foundation. Like if Justin Timberlake said the Indic Foundation needs 2.5 million, it would be funded before he left the stage. And I was like, how do I get on a bigger stage? And how do I show people my classical dance? Because even when I do the biggest show I can think of, 1,000 people, that's just 1,000 people. And you have to understand, like, the internet is coming at this time, too. Like, we had it, but people were starting to use it. Like, YouTube wasn't there yet. And, my guru didn't let me, like, put my dance videos on YouTube because she was like, people are going to steal the choreo. So it's like I missed that whole, like, era of being able to, like, be an online person, which I think saved me because I made my music quietly. I was never like singing covers. I never like needed anybody I quietly shaped my entire character and then came out with Mute. But I was like shaping it behind the scenes because I would write songs for other artists and there'd be parts in the songs that they couldn't sing. And I was like, oh, that's me. That part is me. So let me use that. Let me do stuff like this and stuff like this and then make these songs that nobody could sing but me. Because I was a chameleon. I would go sing, I would sing like the demos for a Britney Spears song, demos for a Christina Aguilera song, demos for a Shakira song. And people would call me because I could make myself sound like anyone. So then that was the whole process of figuring out like, how do I get classical dance to the biggest platform? How do I, become a pop star? Because there isn't anyone, like there wasn't anyone wearing a pattu sari on Times Square. Billboard like I did, there wasn't anybody like that. So it was just important, just to get a bigger platform. And I just dreamed of being in India. That's it. I didn't want to be in America. I was like, how do I get to India?
You know that you are compared to Nicki Minaj, right? You're called a Nicki Minaj.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know why they
Indian Nicki Minaj.
I know why they call me that though. Yeah. You and me both know it has to do with the measurements. Okay. That's I don't know if it's about the music. It's definitely the waist to ass ratio. That's definitely why they call me
But
that.
have you been told on your face, like, you...
I have the internet. I open it. I don't mind. I got Indian Cardi B, Indian Nicki Minaj. It's fine. It's like, and then I'm sure maybe younger artists get compared to me and they're probably getting frustrated too, but I don't get frustrated. Those are the top artists in the world, female artists. So if that's who you want to compare me to, that's cool. But I don't think Nicki is going to drop a Sanskrit banger. So
she can't.
We're just different. Who knows if she can or can't? Maybe if she worked with me.
I'm sorry. I'm going to be biased over here.
Maybe I could get her to be like Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. I could do it. We could get it. I could make it happen. I don't have any. Anything is out of my reach.
My God, I don't want anything to be out of your reach, Kumari. Like it's such a fun conversation. I never thought that someone जिसको मैं सुनती हूँ, जिसको मैंने YouTube पे देखा है, who has been a fashion inspiration. Like, I never saw that, coming, like, obviously when you see an artist for the first time, you think that, international artist and coming with bindi. So I used to always think that, my God, it's going to be such an amazing thing to interview her. And like you mentioned, that you're a master manifester.
Yeah, master manifester. So were you, my love?
So
that's what it is.
I thought
more
of...
bindis. Yeah. More bindis and more bangles. Everybody.
Many, many more. Is there... Yes. I would want you to give a message to all the viewers who are watching out there, and especially those little girls who take inspiration from you.
Yeah. The time is now, and you really shouldn't waste any time on not believing in yourself, because if the vision came to you, you're worthy of it. The second you accept that, it starts it into motion. And we cannot control when it comes, but if you keep faith in that belief that that is for you, it will come. And my career is also like evidence that it will not come on the time that you want, and my Grammy nomination was almost 10 years ago as a songwriter, and I'm going to submit Kashi to Kailash this year and see if, we get a nomination 10 years later. And some people feel like, you can fall off and, no one's heard from you and you can disappear. But I think you have to keep reinventing yourself, keep evolving, never be afraid to try something different. And whatever you're afraid of, do that. Because I was definitely afraid of singing in Sanskrit and Hindi and all the other languages that I'm yet to sing in, and people judging me. But I feel like somewhere in that is my liberation.
One more question I wanted to ask you, actually, because you went independent. Kumari, is it really very difficult to get yourself, like, it's with the labels, it's very like restricting, or...
No, I think
why did you decide that you
I was with the labels for 7 years. I did 4 different deals, and I was with the best, and that's it. It's just that I think that sometimes when you're on a label, there's like a scarcity mentality. They benefit from pitting all of you against each other and making you fight it out for like the number 1 spot, or like they get more productivity out of you. They get more reactions and stuff like that. I think something that happens in a label situation is like people are unwilling to give their opinion on the music until the boss has given the opinion. And that really slows down the process, because if there's people between you and the music getting to the public, then it becomes performative. I have to get someone to agree. I have to get them to keep liking it for 3 weeks. Like, they're gonna have other conversations, and I have to be so strong in my thing that they don't shift their opinions. And that's not just India, that's in America. When I was at Epic, it's like nobody would give an opinion until the boss had heard it, and like, and it's just like, it's not as productive. But now you can see changes. Like, a lot of the labels have understood, when I was in the major label, I would be like, hey, if you put a song out, you need to talk to the diasporas, like Canada, UK, America. Like, you have to like push it there so that it actually like impacts. And that people didn't really listen. But now, like, there's a lot more plans from the labels that have like these like different departments and all the diasporas, and they're pushing the Indian songs there. I didn't really ever have that kind of infrastructure or anything.
Not yet.
I mean, like, I feel like when I was at the label, it'd be like right when it started, and then after I left, they hired everybody good. Like, that's like kind of what happens. And like everything that I suggested will happen after. Like, every company, I'll be like, this is how it needs to be. They're like, you're so hard to work with. I get out and they're like, this is how it needs to be. And it's like the exact, like, every project that I have like said I want to do.
Is it like that, when you tell people how to do their job, they get annoyed?
They get annoyed, but then they do it exactly how I told them after I leave, because then they did it. Yeah. And it wasn't for me. But it's fine. I would just say that major labels do help in, I always call it the strong arm, because they have like relationships with the streaming companies. They have relationships with a lot of people. So if they want to back you, it's more than just putting marketing money on it. There's like, a push with it. Being independent has allowed me to take risks, to make like the bridge, and the bridge brought me to Kashi to Kailash, and wherever I go from here is my decision. If I want to do Punjabi, I don't have to convince an entire building that I can sing in Punjabi. I can just put it out and let the public decide if they like it, So I think that there's so much more opportunity for younger artists, but I wouldn't discourage you from trying once in your life to be in the rat race.
Do it yourself.
Yeah, I mean, like, do it yourself, or if you can get involved with the label, just know what you're getting involved in. Like, you're still a product. So always maintain your team around you, maintain your sense of authenticity. Don't let the validation come from them, but they can help. Like if you get involved with the label and they're ready to back you, then you have a song that blows up, then they'll push it and it can go number one so quickly because there's these relationships that are behind the scenes. But then people go viral on TikTok and their independent songs blow up and, you know, it doesn't really matter. But I have definitely had a lot more, it's been a lot more difficult since I've been independent. But the music has been more rewarding.
I think you'll get there. You're there.
I'm just going to keep going. Yeah. I don't have anything else to do. That's what everyone is like. There's no backup plan. So I just have to keep going. It's just going to evolve. Like the next 10 years is music education and infrastructure. It's like, how do I teach people to songwrite the ways that I learned from Denmark and Sweden and America? And how do I equip us to be competitive out there when we go work with people in America? If someone comes from India, they shouldn't be like unaware of how sessions work. So like, how do I equip the community for the future? And how can we earn Grammys out of India? You know, if I mean, I'd love to win the Grammy. It's definitely, you know, a goal of mine, but I did grow up in Los Angeles. I did have opportunities to work with multiple Grammy Award winners, you know, really early in my career, songwriters, producers, and that access is not available for a lot of people in India. And when I went to Daughter of a Dream Project, when The Bridge came out, like in April, I went on the day of my album release and we cut a cake of my album cover and I, you know, taught a little songwriting class and I spoke to them and they performed for me. And the thing that struck me the most was the only difference between me and them was opportunity. And that's something that I can help with. So
I have goosebumps. Thank you so much, Kumari. It was lovely having you in Mirchi Studios.
Appreciate it.
And my God, it just can I keep her? Can I just
inspirational hour with Rajakumari.